17 years of silence. That is how long America's federal death chamber stood empty, a relic of a fading justice. Then came 2020. Amid a global pandemic and national unrest, the Trump administration restarted the machinery of death. 13 executions in 6 months, a lethal sprint unseen in over a century. These were federal killers, convicted of crimes that crossed state lines or shattered sacred trust. Terrorists, child murderers, cartel assassins. As the world held its breath, their final meals were served. Their last words echoed in sterile rooms. The needle delivered the government's answer. We document all 13. Their crimes, their final bites, their dying breaths. This is the ledger of America's execution sprint. Case 1. The Hate-Fueled Heir. Daniel Lewis Lee, executed July 14, 2020. He saw himself as a warrior for a white homeland. Instead, Daniel Lewis Lee died a federal prisoner, the first execution in 17 years. In 1996, Lee tortured and murdered gun dealer William Mueller, his wife Nancy, and her 8-year-old daughter Sarah. Bags taped over their heads, bodies weighted with rocks, dumped in an Illinois bayou, all to fund a racist revolution. Lee spent 23 years denying guilt. His final meal request was denied by protocol. Strapped to the gurney at Terre Haute, his last words crackled with defiance. "You're killing an innocent man. I didn't do it. My conscience is clear." At 8:07 a.m., lethal chemicals silenced him. The hiatus was over. Case 2. The Girl in the Woodshed. Wesley Ira Perkey, executed July 16, 2020. 2 days later, Wesley Perkey faced the same fate. His crime was the 1998 rape and murder of 16-year-old Jennifer Long. He lured the Kansas City teen with promises of marijuana, then stabbed her, dismembered her with a chainsaw, burned her remains in a farmhouse woodshed. Later, he confessed to killing an 80-year-old woman with a claw hammer. Perkey's lawyers argued dementia left him unaware. The courts disagreed. His last meal was a double bacon cheeseburger, onion rings, and vanilla ice cream. Gasping on the gurney, his final words were fragmented. "I deeply regret pain I caused. I'm sorry." He was pronounced dead at 8:19 a.m. Case 3. The Meth King's Reckoning. Dustin Lee Honkin, executed July 17, 2020. Dustin Honkin's meth empire demanded blood. In 1993, the Iowa drug lord executed 5 witnesses, including 2 children. 10-year-old Amber and 6-year-old Candy were shot point-blank alongside their mother. Their bodies are buried in a forest. Honkin became the most prolific federal killer executed under Trump. After 27 years on death row, he declined a special last meal. He received the standard tray: meatloaf, gravy, mashed potatoes. His final statement quoted Jesus, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." At 4:36 p.m., the chemicals flowed. The third execution in 4 days. Case 4. The Reservation's Stolen Daughter. Lesmond Mitchell, executed August 26, 2020. No federal execution sparked more outrage. The Navajo man murdered 63-year-old Alice Slim and her 9-year-old granddaughter Tiffany Lee on their Arizona reservation. He slit their throats, crushed their skulls with rocks, drove their decapitated bodies 40 miles in their own truck. The Navajo Nation opposed capital punishment. They pleaded for clemency. The White House refused. Mitchell's last meal was 2 cheeseburgers, strawberry ice cream, and fry bread. His final words honored his heritage. "To my people, stand strong. This is my life, not my death." He died at 9:29 p.m., the only Native American executed federally in modern history. Case 5. The Playground Predator. Keith Dwayne Nelson, executed August 28, 2020. 10-year-old Pamela Butler was rollerblading when Keith Nelson offered to push her like a swing. Instead, he dragged her into the woods behind her Kansas home. There, he raped her, strangled her with wire, dumped her body in Missouri. Her mother's scream haunted investigators. Nelson showed no remorse in 20 years on death row. His last meal was 2 Burger King Whoppers, fries, and a Pepsi. On the gurney, he rasped, "I'm sorry for my crime. I forgive everyone who wronged me." At 4:32 p.m., he became the fifth executed in 6 weeks. Case 6. The Nurse's Nightmare. William Emmett LaCroix, Jr., executed September 22, 2020. Georgia nurse Joanne Lee Tiesler thought she'd found a handyman. Instead, she invited William LaCroix into her home, a paroled rapist. In 2001, he bound her, stabbed her 14 times, slit her throat, stole her car. Her body was found kneeling by her bed, as if in prayer. LaCroix's final meal was a feast: steak, scrambled eggs, hash browns, toast, and apple pie. His last words were strangely serene. "I hope my death brings you peace. I'm ready, Warden." At 9:06 p.m., the lethal injection ended his life. Case 7. The Preacher's Burning Flesh. Christopher Andre Villalba, executed September 24, 2020. Christopher Villalba sang gospel hymns in prison, but in 1999, the 19-year-old carjacked Todd and Stacy Bagley, youth ministers driving through Texas. For 7 hours, they tortured the couple. Then Villalba shot Todd in the head, set the car ablaze with Stacy still alive inside. Her charred hands showed she'd tried to claw free. Villalba's last meal was a vegetarian burger, fries, and grape juice. Strapped down, he sang, "Heaven came down, and glory filled my soul," then told his witnesses, "I'm ready. Send me home." At 6:46 p.m., smoke from his crimes became the smoke of his execution. Case 8. The Interstate Highway. Hunter, Alfred Bourgeois, executed December 11, 2020. Alfred Bourgeois transformed his tractor-trailer into a torture chamber for his 2-year-old daughter, Jane. During a 2002 delivery run spanning Texas to Louisiana, the trucker subjected the toddler to weeks of sustained abuse, beatings, burning with cigarettes, and finally, fatal head trauma against the truck's dashboard. Her tiny body, discarded like cargo, was found at a Corpus Christi naval base. Bourgeois maintained innocence throughout 18 years on death row. His request for a final meal was denied under the protocol. Strapped to the gurney at Terre Haute, his final words were a flat denial. "I did not commit this crime. I am an innocent man." The lethal injection commenced at 8:21 p.m., marking the 8th federal execution. Case 9. The Desert Ambush. Brandon Bernard, executed December 12, 2020. Brandon Bernard participated in the 1999 Texas robbery that devolved into a nightmare. Teenagers Todd and Stacy Bagley, youth ministers, were carjacked by Bernard's gang. After a harrowing ride, the couple was forced into their car's trunk near Fort Hood. While Bernard doused the vehicle with lighter fluid, accomplice Christopher Villalba shot Todd Bagley in the head. Bernard then ignited the car, incinerating Stacy Bagley alive inside. Bernard, only 18 at the crime, expressed profound remorse during 2 decades imprisoned. His final meal was 2 flour tortillas, beans, rice, chorizo, and a Dr. Pepper. His last words offered apology. "I'm sorry. That's the only words that I can say that completely capture how I feel now." He was pronounced dead at 9:27 p.m. Case 10. The Cell Block Butcher. Orlando Cordia Hall, executed November 19, 2020. Orlando Hall orchestrated the 1994 kidnapping of Lisa Renee, a 16-year-old Arlington girl, over a mistaken drug debt. Dragged to Arkansas, she endured days of brutal gang rape by Hall and his associates before being buried alive in a shallow grave while still breathing. Hall, ringleader of the Black Mafia gang, showed minimal contrition over 26 years. His last meal request was denied. On the execution gurney, Hall offered a brief, ambiguous statement. "I've said all I need to say. I'm ready." The lethal chemicals were administered at 11:47 p.m. Hall's execution, the 10th, underscored the federal reach into crimes crossing state lines for vengeance. Case 11. The Disappeared Mother. Lisa Marie Montgomery, executed January 13, 2021. Lisa Montgomery's 2004 crime was a grotesque theft of life. Traveling from Kansas to Missouri under false pretenses, she strangled 23-year-old Bobby Jo Stinnett, 8 months pregnant. Montgomery then cut the baby girl from Stinnett's womb with a kitchen knife, attempting to claim the newborn as her own. Extensive evidence of Montgomery's severe mental illness and childhood torture fueled clemency pleas, denied by the administration. She received the standard meal: vegetable soup, garden salad, mashed potatoes with gravy, and unsweetened tea. Montgomery, the first woman executed federally in 67 years, spoke no final words. Silence filled the chamber as the injection began at 1:31 a.m. Case 12. The cartel's judge, Corey Johnson, executed January 14, 2021. Corey Johnson, a Richmond enforcer for a New York-based drug syndicate, murdered 7 people in 1992 to eliminate rivals and witnesses. His victims included a father, a teenager, and associates deemed disloyal. Johnson shot them execution style, ensuring the gang's brutal grip on its Virginia turf. Diagnosed with intellectual disability later, his death sentence sparked legal debate over constitutionality. His final meal was pizza, pepperoni, mushroom, and sausage, with a root beer. Strapped down, Johnson expressed remorse and peace. "I want to say I am sorry for my crimes. I want to thank my family. I am okay." The lethal injection ended his life at 11:34 p.m. Case 13. The bomb maker's shadow. Dustin John Higgs, executed January 16, 2021. Dustin Higgs ordered the 1996 triple murder that silenced witnesses. Fearing exposure after a confrontation, Higgs directed Willis Haynes to shoot 3 women: Tamika Black, 19, Mishan Chin, 23, and Tanji Jackson, 21, execution style on a deserted Maryland road near the Patuxent Wildlife Refuge. Their bodies were left in the cold woods. Higgs, maintaining innocence for 24 years, declined a special last meal, receiving the standard offering. His final words were defiant. "I'd like to say I am an innocent man. All you are doing is killing an innocent man." The lethal injection commenced at 1:23 a.m., concluding the unprecedented 6-month execution sprint. The gurneys stand empty once more, but Terre Haute's silence now vibrates with the weight of 13 executions in 6 months, a pace unseen since the dawn of the 20th century. From Daniel Lewis Lee's Bayou victims to Dustin Higgs's frozen woods, the machinery of death operated with relentless efficiency. Final meals were consumed. Last whispers vanished into sterile air. Needles plunged in swift succession. This was justice stripped of deliberation, a conveyor belt greased by crimes deemed beyond redemption. The state offered no sermons, only the chemical sigh of pentobarbital. Enough. No grand reckoning, only administrative finality. Yet the ledger remains incomplete. When speed overpowers reflection, what becomes of justice? When death rolls from an assembly line, who tends to the ghosts clawing at chamber walls? The victims' silenced cries linger in the ritual's wake. Sarah Mueller's missing roller skate, Tiffany Lee's unfinished fry bread, Stacey Bagley's charred palms pressed against glass. The condemned swallowed their last bites. America swallowed its conscience. The chamber doors closed. The questions remain.